Welcome to the TD podcast. It's going down. Welcome. Here's a couple of housekeeping things we're going to do. We're going to do an episode once every 2 weeks. That's why we've been skipping. Plus, we've been a little exhausted. Chase had his wisdom teeth pulled. He was out of commission for a few days there. He probably had like ulcers and infections and all that kind of stuff. That's maybe why he's feeling sick right now. But so yeah, just so you guys know, that's kind of what we're gonna do. Continue to keep watching. Apparently, we're picking up some steam a little bit on Facebook and stuff like that in our YouTube channel. So keep looking at those on Twitter. Just subscribe, please. We love the interaction. So, fellas, I have a couple things on my mind. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but I watched the Garth Brooks, The Road I'm On, documentary on Netflix the other day. And I'm going to just say this, and Tarleton's probably not going to agree with me because he's a Texan and the king. But I'm going to tell you this, Garth Brooks is the best country music male recording artist to ever do it. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give you the facts. Here. Okay?
I've said this for years.
Yes, you have, Adam. You have said this for years. So I'll tell you why, Tarleton, and then you can give me your points. Firstly, George was just a little bit before Garth, which is understandable. But George is the sit on the stool. He's still the king. I'm not saying he's not the king, but he's sit on the stool, and he is the true singer artist, right? But Garth Brooks changed the game, right? So he was kind of like watching that documentary. It actually taught me a lot, but he and stuff I didn't know about him. But he changed country music completely. He made country music what it was in the 90s. A couple of stats on him. He was the first country music artist. I think the first artist ever to sell 100 million copies of his albums. Okay. Secondly, he has the highest grossing tour ever recorded in history. The Beatles sold 2.6 million tickets on one of their tours, and on his final tour before he retired and then came back. But on his final tour, I believe it's Ropin' in the Wind tour. I can't remember the name of it, but he sold 6.9 million tickets. So he tripled what the Beatles did. He made $360 million on that tour. The Beatles made $189 million on their biggest tour. And just like they had George Strait on the documentary. They had a bunch of other country artists and stuff, and they all said we sold more albums in the 90s because of Garth Brooks, because Garth was the first country artist ever to go to Europe on a tour. He said, I'm going to go to Dublin, Ireland. I'm going to go to Europe and all that. And they only scheduled one show. He sold 400,000 tickets. And so they had to make 5 shows when he only scheduled for one. In 2014, when he came back from retirement, there was a riot in Ireland because he was supposed to have 5 concerts, and the Irish government only agreed to 3. And so he said, I'm going to do 5 or I'm going to do none. And so he didn't do any because they wouldn't let him do 5. Anyway, that's kind of just a quick synopsis. That's my personal opinion. I learned a lot about him. He's a weird dude because he talks in third person a lot.
See, that's where he loses me. When he went on his little Chris Gaines stint,
yes.
Oh my gosh.
That was my next one. And that was the biggest thing that I learned about the documentary, because I said the whole thing too. I said, Chris Gaines, what a joke, right? But I learned a lot about that because I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So Trisha Yearwood is his wife, right? Other country artist, blah, blah, blah. And so she came on the screen. She said, when people make fun of the Chris Gaines thing, I want to punch them in the face. Because she said, if you actually close your eyes and listen to the album, it's my favorite Garth album ever to be put out because it's amazing. But here's what happened, in case you didn't know. Right after his retirement, he was asked to play the lead actor in a movie, and the movie was supposed to be portrayed as a Australian pop singer. And they said, Garth, do you want to play this role? He said, yeah, I'm kind of bored. I'm retired. I want to play this role. And so he played the role, and the guy's name was Chris Gaines in the fake movie or whatever. Well, they put the album out before the movie came out because they thought it might pick up more traction, singing and all that stuff. So they put the album out before the movie came out. Well, circle back around, the movie never came out because they lost money and all this other stuff, but the album was already out. So everybody said Garth was losing his mind, he was off his rocker, all this stuff. But it was just the album for the movie because he didn't make a second one. It was just the album.
Wait.
What?
Is this Chris Gaines guy related to Coach Gary Gaines?
Yes. Yes.
They're brothers.
Yes, he is. But, and the other funny thing about it is the Chris Gaines album got to number 5 on the Billboard Top 100 charts. Okay, so, oh yeah, that's the other thing about Garth Brooks, by the way, is he's the first country artist to ever be number 1 on the Billboard 100 list ever in history, and he was for 6 weeks. It volleyed back and forth with freaking the Beatles, Michael Jackson, all those, like his songs did, and that album. And so, anyway,
I'm gonna have to give it a listen.
Chris Gaines wasn't a total farce. I mean, it's still weird, don't get me wrong, but Garth Brooks changed country music forever. It made everybody else step up their game, and he looked like he was having fun on the stage. I mean, every country artist was like George Strait, right? They sat on a stool, they sang to us, and all that. So anyway, I'm sorry I rambled on there, but I
think Lil Nas is the best country artist of all time.
Hey, that's fine words, boy.
No, all right, Tarleton. So what do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm partial to George Strait because George Strait's George Strait, and we talked about longevity here a while back about certain sports guys. So George has definitely got that on him and has more number ones than Garth ever had. But I have a lot of respect for Garth Brooks because he retired because he wanted to go spend time with his girls and raise his girls.
100%.
And I can't. That's all kinds of respect right there. And I love Garth Brooks. I mean, I think some of all of his albums are gold. I mean, he sings like nobody else has done it like Garth. And you're right, Garth changed the game in country music and really in all of music. He put on a show. Why do you think all these pop country singers now are doing the things they do? Is because of Garth Brooks. And but they may suck at singing. I mean, don't get me wrong, Florida Georgia Line, they may suck at singing, but they put on a hell of a show, and it's fun to go to have a beer.
About the entertainment.
That's the entertainment. But I went to Las Vegas back in December to the National Finals Rodeo, and George packed the house out at the T-Mobile Center.
Pack that. Yeah.
But I've also been to a Garth Brooks concert in Lubbock, and it was excellent. And it was only like $60 a ticket, so it's really not that outrageous of a price.
Speaking of concerts, and I'll jump to the next thing because I want to ask y'all about famous people. But TR, didn't you go to a certain somebody's concert when they were on tour? Who was that?
Certain somebody's concert.
You went to a Miley Cyrus concert?
Oh, yes. So I did, yeah.
TR was loving it.
Let me tell you something.
I came in like a wrecking ball.
Let me tell you something. It was actually fantastic. It was actually fantastic. Yeah, so we're sitting in Corpus at my in-laws' house, and this was before we had kids or anything. I don't even think we were married yet. Yeah, we weren't even married yet. So we went to visit my future in-laws at the time, and so we're heading home or we're heading back to Abilene or whatever because I think it was spring break. And on the way, before we left, Abby's like, "Do you want to go to a Miley Cyrus concert?" I was like, "What?" I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, she's playing in San Antonio, and we could like make it there tonight, and then we can go back to Abilene tomorrow. I was like, I guess so. And so then
it's undefeated.
It's
undefeated.
It's undefeated.
It's a infinity and O. So anyway, we go to a Miley Cyrus concert. Sorry, I don't know why I went away.
That was before she went crazy.
No, it was right in the middle of it.
Yeah, it was in the middle.
She had the shaved head, and she had and I got a big blow up banana. And
if I can find the picture, I'll send it to y'all.
That is one person that went off the deep end.
She had some bad relationships.
But did she, like, that's how I view, because you could say the same thing about Garth, right? Like, he went off the deep end. That's what everybody said with Chris Gaines, although there's a
but that was for a movie.
Right.
Hey, Garth Brooks didn't come on stage looking like a pedophile.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I mean, facts is facts, as Adam says.
Facts is facts. Adam disappeared on us for a while.
He did disappear. He's not. What are you doing, Adam?
Oh, nothing.
What? That was the creepiest thing I've ever seen about. Anyway, one more thing on Garth. He's very emotional about everything. But speaking to your point, T-Bird, about Garth, the reason Garth Brooks got into music was because of George Strait, because he was a senior, I believe a senior in college at Oklahoma State or something, and he said he was driving to the bar or something, and he heard George on the radio, and he's like, that's what I want to do, because George was young or whatever. But it was interesting, too, that I was like, because he went to Nashville, he said, I'm going to Nashville. So all the people in the bar at Oklahoma State, one of the bars there that he played at, they
sent him there.
His way to Nat. Yeah, and he gets there, and he walked in the recording studio, and a guy who was a big name artist at the time, he had a couple good hits, but he couldn't even remember the name of the person. But he walked in there and got a $700 check, and he told the guy at the studio, he's like, well, I make $700. I make more than that in a week.
On a weekend.
In a weekend at Oklahoma State. And they're like, well, then you better go back to Oklahoma because you're not going to make that here. And so he was there. He was in Nashville less than 24 hours, and then
turned around and went back to Hokie Land.
Yeah, he's just very emotional about everything, and so am I. But anyway, I love him. So Adam,
once a note on me disappearing. Country music is to me what the fourth quarter is to LeBron James. It makes me disappear.
Or what? Oh God, I was gonna diss you so bad, but I love you, so I'm gonna. Okay.
I love you. So okay.
So anyway, let's okay. Since we're talking about sports here, since we're talking about Adam and his look at Adam, he disappeared. Adam, we got to talk about Adam's. Adam has now purchased a Xbox and an NCAA 2014.
Ayo.
And for the last week and a half or days, I've been his season records, his team records, all this stuff. So, Adam, do you want to give us a little update on your playing?
I mean, not much to say. I kind of feel like it picked up right where I left off in 2015 when I went to college, and just haven't looked back. Just rolling
so
people
just
up.
So you viewers know, Adam is the recruiting guy. He plays NCAA the way that nerds play it. So he doesn't play the games. He just recruits kids and then sims all the games.
That's how Brian Manley plays.
Yes, and it's super annoying. So when you got what'd you get to? Yeah, they don't play the games, Adam. They just do the recruiting aspect of it, and then they sim all the games, and then they recruit more kids and redshirt them.
See what you recruit, and then you like every week you look at what your opponent does, and then you like change the sliders in your game plan. So like if they run a lot, you switch to run defense, and like you switch all that. So you just focus on recruiting and game plan every week. And I see how long it takes me to win a title without playing a game.
That's kind of cool.
So, would you get to 2029 or something the other day, Adam?
The other day I got to 2034, and I had won 2 titles in that time span. One as an OC at Texas State, and one as a head coach at Oklahoma. And
You can do that on that?
And played for another as an OC at USC.
Yeah, so Tarleton, the way NCAA used to work before they stopped making it is when you start a dynasty, like me and you would just play the games. Okay?
Yeah.
But you can be the head coach, and then if you do well, like they offer you positions at other places, right? So like I always started as an OC because I just wanted to control the offense. I didn't want to play both. And so then if I did well as an OC, they would offer me head jobs at other places. And that's kind of how it works. And then you recruit kids. And I never did the recruiting because I never played more than a season with a team.
Gotcha.
So anyway, since we're talking about sports, let's talk about this a little bit. Me and Adam had an argument the other day about Permian and high school football. So Odessa Permian, Mojo got the Mojo magic.
Coach Gary Gaines, baby.
Coach Gary Gaines. So he said, Adam's stance, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but his stance is basically like something like Permian did, where they kind of dominated from 1950s to the 90s, essentially, before they became average. He said that's more impressive than something like a Lake Travis 5 in a row or Aledo 9 titles in 12 years or something like that.
I feel like we've definitely touched on this before, I think.
A little.
Like what we considered a dynasty and
a longevity,
right? Dynasty, but I understand what Adam is saying, but I don't know that that's more impressive because you have to, 40 years, that sounds great, but they won one title every one of those decades. So
right.
One title every 10 years. Yes, that is impressive. That is consistency. That's all those other things. But I think to get 5 in a row or 9 in 12 years, or Refugio, who has like 6 in 10 years, that's impressive. That is,
when you say that, you got to acknowledge that things are different nowadays. Like there was social media, like people didn't believe in moving their kids to the best school for the best athletic opportunities. Like nowadays, like somebody has like a son that's a really good QB and he's like a backup at Aledo, they might say, hey, screw this, let's move down to Stephenville and he can start 4 years and he has a better shot at getting a better offer. Like back in those days, that didn't happen. Like it may have happened like very rarely, like it was a rare thing. But nowadays, it's almost like high school's NFL free agency. Like every year on Twitter, I guarantee every offseason, I see 3 or 4 guys that are like, I'm the number 2 running back in the nation, and I've decided to transfer my talents from Denton Geyer to IMG Academy or whatever. Like, you got to acknowledge that. Like, I think for the circumstances that were back then, winning at a very consistent clip for 40, 50, 55 years versus winning short, bright, and fast is more impressive to me.
Well, I got something to add on top of that too, Adam. I mean, back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe, and the 80s and maybe the 90s, the district champion was the only one that could go out to the playoffs.
I think 84 was when it changed.
And it went to 2 teams, I imagine, because when TR and I were in high school, it was 3 teams.
Yeah.
And then it went to 4.
Yeah.
And so, to me, like, and I'm just speaking for Stanford, but like in our weight room, we have a board and it has all of the by district championships and then all the levels of the playoffs all the way to the state championship. And like Stanford, from the really from the 50s all the way through. I mean, won a lot of district titles and went to the long ways in the playoffs every year. And I mean, they've got 5 or 6 state championships to hang up in that span. Well, if you don't, I say that in the 50s they were that's when they won most of their state championships. But I mean, to me, I think that's impressive because it was harder to do back then. Yeah, well, they didn't have the talent maybe that we do now, but I think Adam's right. Kids don't move around as much. They didn't move at all back then. They had a pride in their town that they lived in and stayed and played.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, I agree with that. I just think that those things are forgotten. Maybe like that would be my only argument to that. Like that's what I told Adam when we were talking about this. I'm like, he's like, people aren't going to care. They'll remember the longevity of it. But when the further we get away from those times, the more that they're going to. Nobody. I mean, what did I tell you, Adam? I said, if you ask your players or ask your fellow coaches, maybe only the older ones would know that Permian dominated the 50s, 60s, 70s. They would just know that, they're the ones from Friday Night Lights, right? And they won a state championship in the 90s, or whatever.
We kind of have had this conversation, and I mean, everybody knew who Permian was. Like, I don't think you can forget about Permian, and I think part of it, like, I see what you're saying, but I think part of the reason why Permian's not going to be forgotten is because they were one of the first national champions ever at high school. One of, maybe not the first, but they were. I think they were the first from Texas to win the national title. They were the first to be a true blue, the top division, top dog dynasty for 55 years. They got an award-winning book, award-winning movie, award-winning TV show.
That's why they'll be remembered.
Yeah, but they would have had to remember. They remembered them until 2004 when they made the movie.
Without what Odessa had been.
Chase, what do you have on this? You look like you need to say something.
No, now y'all got me thinking of like so many like famous people that I would want to meet, because I was gonna ask y'all like what famous people have you met, but we don't have to get into that just yet.
No, but I don't know. Chase, go ahead.
I've met Rudy.
All right, that one's been taken. Nobody can use it.
Yes. Take Adam.
No.
Take Adam and his stumpy little friend out of there. Okay.
Okay, I have a couple, but TR might use one of them, so I'll let you have that one. The guy we met at the Army All-American. I'll let you.
The guy I met and introduced you to him.
Okay. Just because you're older doesn't
I'll
mean
be right back.
Okay. So, TR also has a cool one on a plane. But anyway, about 4 a.m. at a Dallas airport, I was flying to South Carolina. I was going to South Carolina to build a new store for the company I work for. And we had a layover in Georgia, in Atlanta. And so it was about 4 a.m. in the Dallas airport. I'm still half asleep. Got a cutoff shirt on. My hat's backwards, looking like a straight hooligan. And I'm just carrying one little backpack. And this massive human being is like in front of me in line, walking on the plane. And I was like, who is this dude?
This is Adam's best running back of all time. Go ahead.
Yeah, probably. So anyway, he turns around. He's like talking to his wife or whoever it happens to be. And I recognized his face for whatever reason. I don't know how. I was so out of it. And it was Herschel Walker. And this dude looks like he could still throw down. Like, I don't know. I've playing college ball. I've seen a lot of big dudes run the ball. If that man was running the ball at me, I don't know what I would have done. That is a large human being. I mean, he was swole up, dude. Looked so in shape. It was insane. That was that's probably the coolest one.
That is really
cool. Did you talk to him?
Yeah. No, I talked to him.
He took a picture with him.
I took a picture with him. I didn't have anything for him to sign, but he took a picture with me. I posted it on Instagram. Dude is massive.
Yeah. He is massive.
That's awesome, Chase. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
Adam could power bomb him, according to Adam, and how he's not a good running back. Adam could probably pick him up like Bobby Boucher did.
Adam has lost his mind.
Well, apparently, of our last conversations about greatest running backs ever, Herschel Walker would definitely be in the top tier of those running backs.
Look at this dude's head.
Herschel.
He's just
That's
massive.
cool.
Yeah, that's
What
cool.
would I
He's
have
shorter
done?
than I thought. You said, according to you, I mean, you could power slam Herschel Walker like Bobby Boucher because he's a terrible college running back.
I don't think I
According to
ever
you.
said that. Anything like that.
You said he's not very good.
Yeah.
No.
Wait. Oh, you got me
The
fuming the
guy we
other
had
day,
the
Adam.
argument over was not Herschel Walker. You can't even get that right. I was saying O.J. Simpson is the most overrated back.
No, you
Professional
said
back.
No.
you said Bo Jackson.
Nope.
To
Nope.
be fair,
I said Bo Jackson, not Herschel Walker.
I know you
The-
just a second ago you said O.J. Simpson.
Yeah. You can't switch it up.
Who was the guy? Who was the guy that played baseball and football?
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
That's who I'm talking about.
He's not
Okay.
overrated.
Yes, he
So
is.
we'll say famous people that I met. I'll go. Chase did Herschel Walker. That was awesome. And I wish I would have met him too. That was cool. So yeah, I have two real quick. I met Vince Papale. I was at the I got invited to the Army All-American Combine because I was a junior, so I couldn't play in the game. But anyway, he was there doing some stuff. I don't know, some publicity stuff. So I met him, took a picture with him. Yeah, there's young Buck TR and Vince Papale.
Vince Papale.
Vince Papale. Anyway, but the cooler one for me was I was flying on a plane to Florida to play in the Junior Olympics for baseball, and we're going to Florida, and we get off, and I was in the back of the plane. I was towards the back of the plane. And what are you laughing at, Chase?
You got sent home early from that tournament, right?
No, I almost did, but I did not.
TR got in a fight and almost got sent home early.
I
Yeah.
did not. I did not get sent home early. I almost did. I'll
All right,
tell
sorry,
that story
continue.
later if you want me to, but I'll tell it before we get out of here. But anyway, so yeah, I'm getting off the plane, and then I'm the last one off, and there's one family behind me, and it was Emmitt Smith and his wife and his kids, and so he was flying back to Florida, I guess, to see his family or whatever. But he I guess he likes to be the last person off the plane, whatever, which I can understand. It was early in the morning, so I can understand that too. And then, and he knew that I knew who he was. I didn't really say. I walked by him, and I'm walking by. He's pulling his wife's probably $5,000 Louis Vuitton suitcase, and I said, "Hey, Emmett, how's it going?" He said, "What's up?" And then we went separate ways. And that was it. And,
Hey, Emmett, what's up?
What's up, man?
and
I've known him my whole life.
well, you could tell, like, it was me, Emmitt Smith, and his wife, and two daughters, and we were just in the terminal, and there wasn't a soul around. So I wasn't going to be like, can I have a picture? Can I have an autograph?
Yeah.
I mean, I get starstruck sometimes. I'm like, that is awesome, but I don't like. He's not one of those guys I would like have to get a picture with.
I would
but
definitely.
I know you would, T-Bird, but anyway, it was really cool.
Go
It was
Cowboys.
Really cool seeing him, and go Cowboys. Adam, do you have one or what? Besides Broody?
I met Tim
Adam's
Tebow.
got Tebow. Yeah, I knew he was going to say Tebow.
I,
I knew it was coming.
Met Tim Tebow. I got to sit in his family suite to watch his game.
Hold on.
Anyway, so I'm sitting in the suite watching the game, and after the game, I get to go down and talk. Before the game, I was on the sideline, like warm-ups, and I got to play catch with Tebow and then talk a little bit. Then I went up to the suite, watched the game, and then I got taken to the back, like, private area where, like, the players, like, will meet media members and stuff. But it was like an hour after the game, so they all left. And it was just me and him back there, and we talked for like 2.5 hours or something crazy like that. And when we were done, the people that did the Make-A-Wish and stuff, they told me that he never stayed behind and talked to anybody for that long. And my opening statement to Tebow, when I met him after the game, my opening statement to Tebow was it's a good thing y'all played Oklahoma in the 2008 national title, because Colt McCoy in Texas would have whipped y'all.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
I
these
don't
are
believe
his
that.
words. These are his
Fake
words.
Longhorn fan.
These are his words. Swear it, hand on the Bible. This is what he said. He said, I don't know if they would have beat us, but when we found out we were playing Oklahoma and not UT, we were a lot happier as a team. Those were his words. Swear to God.
I believe that.
Go Tebow, baby. That's my hero right there. That's one of my heroes, Adam, too.
T-Bird, what about other than Rudy? You got another one?
Wide Earp.
Yeah, I did. I do, and it's not even football. So
Wide
when I
Earp.
was no, I do know his Wyatt Earp's family members. Thank you. Coach Hutch's wife is related to Wyatt Earp. Her last name is Earp. Her maiden name.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess this would have been. Yeah, I was still playing football at Blinn. So this would have been the fall. This would have been my freshman year, fall of 10. And one of my friends on the football team, his name was Logan David. He was from Rockdale, Texas. He was probably about 6'2", and probably about 330 on the hoof, and could play some football. And anyways, he was getting recruited. He was getting recruited by A&M, Alabama. Actually read a handwritten letter from Nick Saban to him because we shared a mailbox, and he said I could read it, so I did. Anyways, he didn't have any transportation, so he was like, "Hey, you think you could take me to Kyle Field, and I can have one guest, and we can go watch the game?" And all. I was like, "Of course." And anyways, we got to Kyle Field, and I mean, they treated even me. I wasn't even getting recruited, but they treated me like a king. And like we went and all up and down their locker rooms and everything where they eat and the dining hall and all that. It was really cool. And then we got to go down the sidelines and like Adam, watch them all warm up. And anyways, while we were warming up, Rick Perry, the governor of Texas at the time, who is a Haskell County boy, and his parents sat right behind us at church in Stanford, recognizes me and comes over and says, "Hey, Tarleton, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Hey, Rick, it's going good."
Oh, so Rick Perry met you, is what you're telling me.
Oh, this dude.
Well, I already knew Rick Perry. I mean, he knew my. I mean,
Yeah.
He just happened to see me, and he walked up to me, and we started a conversation. And anyways, he goes, "I want you to meet somebody." And there was this tall, freakishly tall fellow standing next to him, and it was David Robinson, the Admiral from the San Antonio Spurs. And anyways, one of his friends from the Army was like, I don't know, the general or whatever of the Corps of Cadets at A&M. I don't know what all the tally ranks are for all that. But anyways, I got to sit there and talk to David Robinson for at least 10 minutes. He was the nicest guy, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's awesome.
All right, before we wrap it up, the only other one I have, I met two fighters a couple of months ago when I was on my way back from Colorado. I'm sitting at the airport with Cody Sturdivant and his buddy Hunter, and Cowboy Cerrone comes walking by us, and this was like probably 2 weeks right after he had just gotten in that fight and honestly kind of got beat to crap. And he was looking just fine, but he comes walking by, and that was cool. We stopped him and talked to him for a minute. But the coolest one probably is when TR was in Disney World playing baseball. And he was at a team meeting, or he was out with the team or something, and Dad had brought us to the hotel, and we saw this guy walk in the hotel with like all these security guards or whatever, and we were like, what the heck is going on? And some people started telling us, it's so-and-so. And so my dad's like, we don't have time to get on an elevator, run up the stairs and see if you can catch him. So I run up like 3 flights of stairs, 4 flights of stairs, whatever it was.
Mr. Howard would.
And I'm standing outside the elevator just all excited. I'm probably, maybe 8 years old at this point, 8, 10, something like that.
I was. Yeah,
you were 14, so I was probably 10.
Like 10. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm standing outside this elevator, and sure enough, the doors open up, and Muhammad Ali walks out. And this dude could barely walk, looks at me, smiles, and punches me right in the chest. And I was like, oh, my God. It was like the coolest thing in the world.
He rolled out in his wheelchair.
No, he was walking. He was still walking at this point.
Muhammad Ali punched you in the chest?
Yes.
Not like okay.
No,
Oh,
no,
like,
he didn't like.
Well,
He didn't
I
like
know,
try to
but
cave my chest.
like
But
just
yeah,
saying that
he gave
it's
me
like that
yeah.
a boy kid.
Yeah, because I was like, I was just like, I didn't even say anything. I don't think I didn't know what to say. I was just kind of like waved at him, and he just kind of gave me a little fist bump to the chest, and I was like, oh, that was cool. Like, didn't ask him for an autograph or anything, but
I got one more famous athlete I met.
let's hear it.
So when I was helping out at Tarleton, I got to meet Chase Varnado in his
Oh
own
my
football pads.
And that's been the TD podcast.
hold on, wait.
Yeah.
I have one
All right.
thing.
Okay.
That was
You're,
good.
you're an
That
idiot,
was
Adam.
good, Adam. That was really good. I just it's funny because this is not me bragging or anything,
Spit it out.
but I think hey, dude, calm down. Just because you're famous.
No, you sound like you're getting nervous talking about this person. I want to know.
No, this is not a person. Maybe we can do a list next podcast about the people we've played with that are famous.
Oh, yeah, you do have quite a few. Your list is going to be better than most of ours.
Am I off that night?
I got famous people I played
Am I off
with.
that night?
My Adam, we know you have none. So
I've got 2 or 3.
the most famous one I played with, there's several in the NFL that I played with, not to brag, but that I rode the coattails of. And anyway, I don't know, the most famous
Aaron
one
Nola.
I haven't picked. Well, no. Well, I did play with. He might be more famous now, but the coolest picture is Chase. It's at Mom's house, but I have a picture. I'm playing baseball. I'm holding Jason Hayward on first base so he doesn't steal. Even though, what happened, Chase? Chase was there. He stole 4 bases in a row, and so
He's still second.
no, hold on, Chase. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Jason Hayward used to play for the East Cobb Astros, and I was playing for my team in Louisiana. We go over there. We play like a 5-game series with them just to kind of tune up for the World Series or whatever. And so, like, I'm holding Jason Hayward on first. He actually gets walked, so I'm holding him on first. And we were like, he's probably going to steal or whatever. So he steals second. We're not even within a mile of him. And so he just stands up, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. He didn't even hardly take a lead, none of that. And so then he steals third the next play, and then next pitch, on the 4th pitch, the catcher drops down, blocks the ball, it pops off his chest plate. It maybe goes 7 feet in front of him, 2-3 feet in front of him, something ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
and
right there.
Jason Hayward just stole home, and that was it. They 1-0, and he didn't even. I mean, there was not a bat swung.
Golly.
So it was pretty epic. But anyway, yeah, Aaron Nola, all them. So that'll do it for the podcast. And Adam, that was a zinger on Chase. I loved it. Congrats. We will see you guys. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. So it's been fun. Have a great week. Let's have an electric Monday.
Hey, everybody's starting workouts this week. Go get it. We're trying to get back to normal out here.
Yeah.
All the high school teams in Texas are starting workouts. We'll see you guys next time. Love you. Peace.